Hello, in this help video I'm going to introduce you generally to the SPSS environment and specifically look at entering data into SPSS data editor window. Start by opening SPSS. When you do this, you may get this window here that asks you this question, what would you like to do? Just cancel that. Best to get straight to the, when you're starting, best to get straight to the data editor window, which we have in front of us. You notice it has two views. It has the data view and the variable view, so you'll need to check which you're on when it's opened. We're going to start with the data view tab, and we're going to enter some data from chapter 3 in the book. We're going to just use a subset, a very small subset of the task data from table 3.3. Here I'm going to, in this first column, I'm going to enter the mass of the first task. Just the first, I think 5 data points. So I'm just typing it in from the table. And the other data I'm going to use for this is the cause of death of the elephant, and I'm not going to put in the words, I'm going to put in numbers for categories. So for poaching I'm going to put a 1, for control I'm going to put 2, next one is poaching again, and then we have a couple of unknowns. I'll come back to how we deal with this in SPSS in a second. So we've put in our data, and we've got 2 variables, and we've got 5 bits of data for each variable. The technical name for these rows in SPSS are cases. Now to define those variables, we're going to go to variable view, and our first variable, the name, we're going to give mass, and it's a numeric type of variable. If you want to see the other options, click on those dots there, but generally it's best to stick to numeric. These 2 columns allow you to define the width and decimal places in your numbers that you're entering, and it's a good idea to, if you've got an upper limit, to set that because it will help you detect data entry errors. In our example, I'm going to set the width to 3. Sorry, I'm going to set the width to 5, and I'm going to leave the decimal places at 2. For the value label, I'm going to put the full label for the variable, which is mass kilograms first task, and I'm going to, in this case we don't need to use the value labels. I'll come back to that in a minute. Missing data, we're just going to use the default. If there's any missing data, you can actually give them specific numbers for your data to be missing. So you can define, for say 99, we might put in here 99 for missing values, but we're not going to use that. We're going to use the default, and the default is actually a system's missing value, which is actually a little dot in a cell if it's missing. Column width defines the physical width of the column. The alignment, that's where you want the number to appear in the column. It's alignment. The measure, level of measurement. In this case, it's scale level of measurement. And input, this is the role. So you don't in most of the analysis we do, it's not going to be an issue, but you can actually define the role of your variable. Is it going to be a dependent variable, an independent variable? Can it be both, or do you just want to define it as none? So in our example, we're going to leave it as none. It actually wouldn't have mattered if we just didn't bother with that. So for the next, so it gets to our variable view, and we can see it's changed that, and we've got our data here. So in our variable view, in the name of the second variable, we're just going to give it a short name of cause. We're going to leave it as numeric. You'll see how this all works out in a minute. This time we can leave it at the default of 8, but it's fine to change it. It's a good idea in some ways to catch data entry. We don't need any decimals this time because in fact we're just using the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. in order to label the cause. We can give it the full name of the variable here, cause of death. We do want value labels here, so let's just click on those dots to see how that works. 1, we gave the value 1 for poaching. Add this. This can capture out this add button. You need to add it to the list. 2 was control. Add that to the list. 3 was unknown. Add that to the list. That's all we used in this mini data set for in this example. We'll just use the default for systems missing. Column width we'll use a default. Line we'll use a default. This time our level of measurement is actually nominal, not a scale. And again, we will have dependent variables during these examples in the rest of the help videos, but it actually won't influence the what SPSS does if we just say none. If you want to define the role specific for your example, that's good in the following context, and that's how you do it. But for this example, we don't need it, and many of the examples in the book you don't need it, even if they are dependent or independent variable. Okay, let's nip back to data view and see what's happened here. We've now got the mass here and the calls here, and we've actually got the names, the labels appearing, and we can switch between the numbers and the names by going to view value labels, and that turns it back. Value labels off turns it back to the numbers we actually input, and the value labels on gives us the labels. So that's quite handy. So you put in a number and it will give a label of the appropriate nominal category. If we just view the labels off at the moment, for a moment, oh sorry I keep doing that, the labels off at the moment, you see that we've got rid of the decimal points, and that was because when we were in variable view we got rid of the decimals here. And that is our data set all set up. You just file and save as to save that data file for use in the future to either use it in analysis or add to it. So just to review variable view, this is the short name, this is the type, and generally stick to numeric, I suggest. Width and decimal of a numeric, that helps you avoid data entry mistakes, so you can do the width of the number, maximum width of the number, and the maximum number of decimal points. Here we have the full name of the variable. So for mass, the full name, we just use a shortened version for the name of the variable, but we use, if this is the labels we want to appear in the output. The values is where, for instances where we want to enter, say, nominal categories using numbers, but assign labels to those numbers. And that's good practice. The SPS works best if you do it like that rather than add the text straight to the data view. Missing values, let's just have a look how that works. If we go to data view, if in fact here we didn't have a data point there, the system's missing would be a little dot like that, but you can actually define alternative values for missing values, but the system's missing value is a little dot. And column width is the actual physical column width in data view, and the alignment within the column is defined here, level of measurement here, and the role is here. As I say, in examples that we do, the role isn't particularly going to affect what we do, even if your variables do have a specific role. All of this information is in the data sheet, in the help sheet, in the data entering help sheet, which you can find on the online resource centre, and it goes through what I've just talked about here in some detail. So I would suggest looking at both this video and looking at the data entry help sheet. That's the end.